Mr. David D. Moots Photography, and Jeffrey Neville from Selective Imagery. So today, fellas, we're talking about the Z8 and the Z6III and the Z7III. Seems there's a little more news coming out. Bad rumors, good rumors, I don't know. But Nikon rumors seems to be now willing to talk about. Hang on. I can fix that. Bam, gone. All right. I had it pulled up on this laptop too. So hello, James. How you doing, buddy? Albert Jimenez. I'll get it right, Albert. I will. My wife's all over me about that. Glad to see you in here. I see quite a few other people already in the chat. Ray Powell, Todd's in here. AJM's in here. Da 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 da. And I may have missed somebody, but glad to see everybody in here. So my question is, has everybody seen Nikon Rumors, the post that they dropped, I guess this morning or maybe even last night? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was
Darren,
yesterday.
good to see you. Alan Barnes, how you doing, sir? So again, have you guys had a chance to see the Nikon Rumors post on the Z8 info? And this comes from a Chinese source. I don't know who they are or what, talking about the Z roadmap, or as they lay it out, that's what everybody's talking about or calling it, the Z roadmap. I don't know how accurate it is, but man, it looks very familiar. Very familiar.
Yeah, a little confusing in some ways on what they really do with the. It'll be interesting differentiation between.
Jeffrey, audio, man, it's cutting in and out.
Oh, here we go again.
Got the Pollard virus. I see he's got his stuff straightened out.
Yeah. Mr. Pollard finally got it all straightened out. Yeah, I'm behind this 100%. As you guys know, that's no secret. I mean, I've been talking about this since Mozman says chart on NR is fake. It was created by a Chinese Nikon user and posted to a forum. Okay, that wouldn't surprise me at all, Mozman. So when you say no basis on reality, I think that speculation, wherever they got their speculation from, I think it's pretty close to what we can expect to see. I'm hanging on to that. I'm not going to give that up. Gregory, hello, Cape Town, South Africa. Good to see you, sir. Glad you're in here. So I've got my list up again. As I'm standing by this list. I mean, there are going to be some tweaks to it, of course, based on what Nikon actually presents. But even Nikon Rumors. So now Peter over there has decided to at least leak a little bit of some of the info that he's getting. He seems to be sure, or not sure, but pretty confident in the fact that the Z8 will be released March, April next year. But we still have October, and I believe, as I've said before, that we're going to get an announcement here next month. And we're going to find out. We'll find out soon enough because it's just around the corner. But I do believe we're going to get an announcement. I did change my prediction somewhat, and I'm not using that as a cop-out, but I changed my prediction thinking that the Z6III would probably be the better choice for an October announcement. Only because it falls in at the price point that most would be willing to pay right now and upgrade from their Z6 or Z7 or whatever. And I'm interested in seeing what it's going to have in it too. So we'll see what happens next month. The Z8 could be announced, and then it, as Peter says, then actually delivered in March, April. But I have no idea yet. We're going to find out. More and more people are getting on board with the fact that Nikon is going to release something here in the very near future. that being in the next 6 months.
Well, it's going to be for them to do a Z3 because I'm assuming the body won't.
It isn't going to work, Jeffrey. Your audio is in and out. We're getting about half of it.
And it's I went to my I'm gonna see what happens.
All right. Yeah, AJM says the Chinese table says 9 or September for the Z6III, Z7III, and the rest are 2023. Yeah, well, nobody's going to have absolute dead on information coming out of Nikon. Why? That's the reason we haven't received any other tips or rumors or anything. I think that, as I've said many times, I've said that I think Nikon has cracked down on the NDAs, and that's why we're not hearing anything. Because even if a camera was going to be announced in June of next year, and I think that we can all believe that Nikon's putting something out next year, early next year, midway through the year, something's coming. We would already have leaks of information. I mean, that's par for the course, and there aren't any leaks. So if there are no leaks, and we're basing everything on the fact that we got to have leaks before a camera can be announced, then I don't expect anything until the fall or winter of 2023. And I know that's not going to be the case. I mean, come on. How many people really believe that we're a year away from another camera?
No way. Yeah, no way.
Jeffrey's back. Let's see if his audio's any good. Jeffrey, give me a sentence real quick.
Well, do we sound awful as usual?
Nope, it's working now.
Working.
You're good.
Now it's working.
Yep.
So I do sound awful as usual then. Okay.
Yeah, you do, buddy. Hey, Darren is buying a Z9 and a Z8 will certainly test my marriage. Yeah, I'm sure it will, Darren.
Marriage? What marriage?
A couple of comments. I want to go back here. Mozman, it's speculation. Let's see. Knew it was fake because there was no way they will release 6 camera in 6 months. It also answers everyone's prayer. Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. I don't think Nikon's going to release 3 new bodies in a couple of months time frame, but I think it's absolutely possible that we see a Z8 or Z6 or Z7 III, in the next few months. And I do believe that we're going to see something in October. Here's something in October. I don't know whether we're going to see it or not, but I do believe we're going to have something in October. Now, here's the wild card. It could be a APS-C body. It very well could be. Nikon knew exactly what Canon was doing when Canon released their 2 APS-C bodies.
Sure.
And hence
I can tell you right now, if it's what's, of course, if this thing's fake, doesn't mean anything. But if it's a Z90 with a 24 megapixel DX, that's just a no-go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got all the old timers. They're all saying they want low megapixel cameras now. We don't want anything over 12 megapixel. We want pinhole cameras. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Well, sorry about your luck. You're not going to get that. I'll confidently say that right now. That isn't going to happen.
Go out and buy an old D100 because I think that was about 6 megapixels.
Go buy a DF.
Yeah, I mean, if they come out with a 24 megapixel DX, you might as well just crop your Z9. They're going to be the same thing.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you, Mozman, but that still doesn't take away. It opens up the door for constant conversation about it. Even Peter says that he has leaks or has information about something coming March, April. I'm not basing this on the article from China. I could care less what that says, or the how to fly or whatever it is leak. But the bottom line is Nikon's been absolutely silent, and it's not because there's nothing going on. Something is coming. Something is coming sooner rather than later. So the Z8, the only reason for the delay in the Z8 is, again, everybody's hanging on to the fact that we got to fill all the Z9 orders because we can't take away from the Z9. People are waiting for the Z8. These aren't people that are going to buy the Z9, and people that are going to buy the Z9 are going to buy it regardless. Sure, there may be a couple of people that decide, well, I'm not going to get the Z9 now. I'll get the Z8. But it depends on what the Z8 is too. Because if some people get their wish and it's a high megapixel camera, 60 plus megapixel, and who knows where that ends, 100 megapixel or whatever, but 60 plus megapixel camera, how many people are then going to want the Z8 if that's the case?
Well, I think the fact that they discontinued, they're not manufacturing the Z6 base and the Z7 base anymore, kind of ties in conveniently with coming out with a Z6III and a Z7III. My confusion or question is, how are they going to differentiate a Z7III from a Z8? That's going to be really interesting to see what is going to make you want to get a Z8 versus a Z7III.
Megapixels.
That's it.
That's the only thing. It's going to be megapixels.
Yep. That's
one or the other is going to be a higher megapixel than the other.
Yes. I agree 100%. The question is, which one will it be? It makes better sense to me for it to be the Z7. The Z7 needs something to boost it again. The Z7 took a beating when it was first announced. And a lot of people were even talking about, crazy talk, but people were making comments about drop the whole Z series because of the beating that it took. I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah.
No.
Z7 can be remade into that high megapixel landscape studio camera, high megapixel camera. We're going to have to wait and see, but we're getting closer, gentlemen. We're getting closer, and I'm not willing to give up on this.
Well, what's interesting is if they talk this parallel path of this, is the Z8 going to be, and I hate using the term the D850 equivalent, because there is going to be no D850 equivalent, because the D850 doesn't have video worth a darn. No. So basically anything you would put in a Z8 is going to be better than the D850. So the only thing D850 had the higher megapixel sensor. So if you go that route with the Z8, it'd be the higher megapixel camera if it's going to be affiliated with that term D850 equivalent, or is it going to be a 45 megapixel sensor and have most of what's in the Z9 but with some dumbed down specs? So it could go either way.
This likens to the D700. Everybody waited for years for the D700, update. When are we going to get the new D700 or whatever? And now we're doing it with the D850. Yeah, the D850 is a great camera. It's not the greatest camera in the world, and I know I'm going to ruffle some feathers there, but I don't care. It is a great camera, but it's not the greatest camera in the world. It did me well. I enjoyed it. It was a great camera for what I needed to do with it, but it wasn't the all-rounder that I would like to have had to complement my D5.
That's what the Z9 is.
Yes.
So what is it that is the D850? Other than price, is the only thing people want a D850 replacement for. The Z9's higher. Yeah. It does everything the D850 does and better. But the only thing that's lacking is price. So that's what they're wanting this other camera for.
Yeah. Whatever you want in a Z8, the only thing affiliated with a D850, and I agree with you 110%, is you kick it out there with the $3,500 price point that you had when the D850 came out, and everybody will be really happy because they're going to get a lot more camera for the same price, and a D850 user will say, gee, well, I paid $3,500 for the D850, And
Yep.
this new Z8's a lot better. I'll easily pay another $3,500 to get
Exactly.
that. And
That's why I say
that's
everybody's.
that's the only thing that's going to be common with the D850 is
That's
that
right.
price.
That's right.
Yeah, and Albert's talking about what Nikon really needs right now. Well, they have to do both. This isn't a one or the other, Albert. They have to do both, and I agree with you. They need additional glass, fast glass, and there are going to be people that are going to argue, be willing to argue with you about that because we're still waiting on the 2 to 600 that everybody wants. So now we're talking about affordable cameras and lenses. You know, the 2 to 600 obviously isn't going to be a $5,000 lens.
Yeah.
A newer Z6III or Z7III isn't going to be the high cost camera. So that's what everybody's waiting for, or even the Z8. Let me read over here what Peter was saying for those that may not have been over to read it. I'm just going to go right down to it. A Nikon Z9-like camera without the built-in grip, same sensor as the Z9, but smaller body. Basically impossible to achieve same performance in a smaller body. It is because the battery is going to be smaller. So I'll give you that. Absolutely. Doesn't make sense to me. It makes absolute sense to me. It's to me, it's like a no-brainer. But then again, I've been saying this since almost March, and put the little chart together in June. So he says a mirrorless version of the Nikon D850. Man, we just can't let that D850 go. Let it go, folks. Just like that commercial. Let it go. It's over. If you got one and you enjoy it, then enjoy it. But quit looking for, and I don't even know what you're looking for in the D. What does that mean?
Yeah.
You know, I want a D850 replacement.
I think it's just price. And
that's what I want
confused.
people to explain to me. It's got to be price.
Yeah.
It's price.
And he goes on to say a mirrorless version of the D850, meaning a slower, high resolution camera, one possible scenario, 60 plus megapixel at $3,500 price tag. This does make sense to me. No, that makes sense to me in the Z7III is what makes sense to me. If true, Nikon is basically trying to repeat the huge success they had with the D850. I believe this will actually work. I'll do you one better, Peter. A Z7III high megapixel studio landscape camera and a Z8 baby Z9 with limitations, of course.
Yep.
Now you got two cameras that will sell like hotcakes.
Yeah, that makes way more sense to me.
Absolutely, it does. All right, let me get back over so I can see the chat. See how
now, do you think the Z6III, you think they might surprise us with the Z6III and bump it up to a 33 megapixel sensor instead of leaving it?
A month ago or a couple of months ago, we were talking about that, and that does make good sense to me. You know, even though I'd like to see the Z8 first, but Nikon's got to get something out now. I don't care what anybody says. They can say I'm, claiming the sky is falling, and it is on Nikon. It really is. Nikon has got to get something out there with all this new tech, the new AF and the new X-Speed 7 processor. Those are the two things that must come out in the next body for Nikon, and I think they will. So the Z6III, a lower price camera, does make sense to me. Get that out, let that sell like hotcakes. That's not what everybody's waiting for, but I think it will draw a crowd.
Okay, here I'm gonna really add a lot of mud here in the conversation. What would happen if they put the X-Speed 7 in the Z7III, but for the Z6III they used two X-Speed 6s like they have in the Z7 II right now? Would that be screwy or what? Or would that be
two X-Speed 7 processors?
No, two X-Speed 6s like they have in the Z7. No. Put it in the Z6.
No,
to keep the price down.
I don't see it. I really don't. I don't see it. I mean, anything could happen. Of course, I will be willing to say anything could happen, but I don't see that at all. I think Z7 or the X-Speed 7 processor is the go-to processor now for all new cameras moving forward, because now we're talking about refresh rates and everything else. And that's where that X-Speed 7 shines. Data movement.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I doubt very much that they're going to put this. They're not going to put the same sensor in a Z6III that they're going to have in the Z9.
Yeah, Jaspreet talking about
No.
here, going back to the Canon thing. You know, some people moving from Canon to Sony because of the price of the lenses. Is Canon abandoned third party? Yeah, we'll see how long Canon holds out on that. They may have a deal in the works with Sigma or something else going on already, but I'm not going to get into all that. You know, Nikon is shown that they've opened up their Z mount to third party folks. So yeah, you would think that Nikon would be one of the brands that people are talking about, the possibility of going to. But I already went down that path last, so what was it, Saturday night, you know, with looking at all the comments, you know, everybody in the Canon forums or Canon on the Canon sites, Canon channels, talking about, well, I'll have to move to Sony. Nobody talking about they're going to move to Nikon. I just found that really funny. But if Nikon had a Z7III and a Z6III out, I think it might be different.
Well, a lot of people are moving to Sony because their camera bodies are in stock because
Yeah.
you know, the A1 you can get right now. It's in stock.
Hey, Albert. So let me throw a dilemma with the APS-C Pro body. I think there you got a split audience here. Those that want an APS-C type camera that is a more professional camera, if you will, and cheap. And that's the whole draw to the APS-C, a cheaper body. Not talking about reach right now because you got a whole group of APS-C shooters that want a body to take out and shoot with APS-C glass. You got another group of pro photographers that want the APS-C Pro body for speed and reach, for wildlife, birding, sports, all the other things. That camera is not going to be as cheap as the before mentioned APS-C body just to take out and shoot street photography, this, that, or whatever. So you got two cameras that you're talking about here, and you deliver either one of those, and the other side's going to be unhappy. So flying off the shelves, and I would venture to say, if you build just an APS-C body that has good ergonomics, good specs and features in it for the entry level photographer or that those that want to upgrade from what we now have for entry level, I think that camera sells more than the pro body spec camera because it's going to be cheaper, and rightly so. So we're going to see how that works out. I don't think a Z500 flies off the shelves. I really don't. I think it sells well, but I don't think it's the all in all. I still think that there are people that want that $500 or $600 or $800 price difference between a APS-C body and a Z500, if you will. And you guys are welcome to argue with me here in the chat.
Well, and you know, if the people that want to walk around with DX lenses, get the Z50. There's nothing wrong with that Z50 camera for just walking around with all the DX lenses you want and take pictures. It's going to take great pictures.
So here's what hurts that idea though. Joe says if the AF in any camera coming out is not the same as the Z9, they will not get my money. And and I agree with that. Why wouldn't you want that? Why would Nikon not do that? The technology is there, and this whole idea that we're going to eat into Z9 and nobody's going to buy a Z9, no, forget that. Get rid of that idea. You can't hold that technology back. Nikon doesn't need to go buy or borrow Canon's cripple hammer. It won't bode well for them. The tech is there. With the processor, the XP7 processor, you could put it in an entry-level APS-C camera now. The same tech, you could do it. Depending on the sensor, of course, but I think sensors are changing as well. So we're gonna see what happens. Yeah, Yaman says Xpeed 6 is a PR suicide.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. And here's the other thing about that. If we only knew, we could go, over to Nikon Japan corporate and go out to the factory and see how many Xpeed 6 chips remain in the parts bin. I'm
I
betting
think
you.
that all. I think that all. I don't agree with that statement. I think for anything that's considered pro, yes, but if it's a lower price camera, I don't agree that that's a
Well,
horrible
here's
processor.
why I say it, Jeffrey. They didn't. Why would they order more Xpeed 6 chips when they put in their order to a semiconductor provider? They're going to put in a massive order, and why wouldn't they just order all Xpeed 7 processors at this point?
Oh, it's just I don't know.
The price,
I'd
the
like to
price
know
wouldn't
what the
be much.
difference in
The
price
price
is
wouldn't be that
between
much
them.
different. I don't think. Honestly, it's not like a high power processor costs more than a low power processor. It's just the production of building those processors. I don't think initial cost for the Xpeed
Oh,
7 would be higher, only because
it'll
it's
be more. You got to pay for the development costs. It's like buying a pharmaceutical product, right? We got to get our money back on what we put into it.
right.
So it'll be more, and that's my thing. Is
Well, no, it will be initially more, but
Z6 is going to be video centric, a Z6 would not have a problem with an Xpeed 6 processor just doing if it's video centric.
yeah.
But I don't know. Who knows how many chips they got laying around? I mean, if they got way too many laying around, I don't think they want to throw them away either. But it would be a price point thing. That would be the only reason. I mean, I'd like to see the 7 and everything, but it's a price point thing. I don't know what they're thinking.
I think you're right, Todd. Xpeed 6 is dead. Long live Xpeed 7. And it would be okay for video centric, but I can't see them going to the Z6III, Z7III. I mean, you guys tell me, do you think that they're going to go Xpeed 6 and the Z6III or Z7III?
Z7III, no. Z6III, maybe. Z7III, no. See, the thing is, you had to have the Xpeed 7.
I disagree.
To handle because you had a mirrorless shutter. That had a lot the scan rate that you needed to have for.
Well, there's a good point. Will the Z6III or Z7III have a mirrorless shutter in it or mirrorless camera?
Right. I mean, do you want to pay for a chip
or a shutterless camera? I should say.
A shutterless camera is what drove that. Was a lot of what drove that processor to be better.
And we also know or speculate and probably correct that that's part of the price drop on the Z9 was dropping the shutter. It would be foolish then to add a shutter just to cripple a camera.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're going to go all shutter free, mechanical shutter free cameras from now on. That's another thing that'll be interesting to see.
Hey, James, I'm a D500 folk, and I went mirrorless.
Yeah, but I mean, I get what he's saying. There's people that only shoot that D500, and that's what they're waiting on. Yeah,
right. And they probably don't own any, full frame bodies or whatever. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But yeah.
I mean, I know a few people that are like that. That's all they have are D500s, and they've been waiting and waiting because they don't want to spend the money on the Z9, and they want a crop body.
Yep. Great point, Maz, man. Great point. And Nikon, I think, is learning that now. I know it's all about room on the body for that connection, but the micro, I think, is definitely gone. And that becomes one of those things that everybody wants to attack as well if it comes out in a camera.
Yeah, they need to do away with that. But most of the people that are buying those cameras, they could care less what connection it has on there. They're not buying it because of that connection and if it has that or not.
Yeah, if it's the APS-C body that is kind of an entry level better camera system for somebody, then yeah, maybe they don't care.
Yeah.
but everybody else will, especially if you're upgrading, and especially if you owned a micro USB
Well, yeah.
port
Yeah.
camera. You definitely have learned that you want at least at a minimum, the mini, not the micro. At a
Yeah.
minimum.
If you've already, if you own something like that, then you get spoiled real quick, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
I was just saying, the Z50, just pure walking around DX lenses, image quality is perfectly fine if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Instead of waiting on this, what needs to be a higher megapixel crop sensor in a more professional body to replace that D500.
I agree, Moz, man. I agree. The average buyer of a Z30 knows nothing about the processor or anything else about the camera other than, it's a vlogging camera that I can see myself when I'm doing it. And it has pretty good video specs in it, for the cost and the camera.
Hey, if nothing else, it works great for streaming.
Absolutely. You're living proof right there on the screen.
And that was the only reason why I bought it.
Yep.
Now, Jasper makes a comment. Speed 6 can't handle 12-bit NRAW data. That's part of his response to a comment Mozman made. But does one really expect more than 10-bit from a Z6III? Does people really think they're going to get 12-bit raw NRAW on a Z6III?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. But one of the big things is 10-bit internal.
10-bit, but 12-bit on a Z6III might be.
It just depends on how they actually go with the Z6III.
Yeah.
Is it going to be, if it's video centric, then I think that you're going to have great specs. It's not going to be just a video with a couple of extra. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. I think the separation here, but I'm speculating on the fact that Nikon is going to give us 3 separate cameras. In my eyes, that's the best thing they could do, and let everybody choose where they want to go. Then everybody has an option. Yeah, some options are going to cost more, no doubt about that. But what in the camera world is, equitable when it comes to pricing? So that's just the way it is.
I mean, you're not going to have 12-bit NRAW on a Z6III unless you change the sensor and make it at least 33 megapixels, because it can't do 8K with the sensor it has
I
right
expect
now.
it will be 33 plus.
Yeah,
if they
change
it.
Yeah,
if
they
it's
don't
not
change
if, it will be. No, Jeffrey, it's not if. They will. They know that now. I mean, 6K is about the limit right now for a new camera body. Look at everything that's come out recently.
Yeah, but you could do 6K with a 24 megapixel sensor. You only need 19 megapixels to do 6K. You don't need but you need 33 to do 8K. So if you want that Z6III to do 8K, then you're gonna have to change the sensor, which I think they should do. I agree with you. I think they got to get away from 24 megapixels.
And I think they are. And all the naysayers about 8K, I don't care, because they don't shoot video anyway. It's funny that everybody that doesn't shoot video wants a DF camera complains about 8K.
You don't want to use it, don't use it.
Exactly. Well, I never shoot video. I don't care about 8K. Okay. A lot of people shoot video and don't care about your still specs either. Okay. How about that? Nikon needs to build just a video camera. That's what the Z8 needs to be. No stills.
I want to go back to Super 8, man. I want to go back to Super 8.
So, but you know what? This is fun talking about all these different possibilities, all these specs. And I get so angry at everybody. Oh, we don't want to talk about it until it's in my hand. Well, good for you. Shut up. Go away. And I like how they feel that they must respond to something like this, a chat like this, or over on Nikon Rumors. They absolutely must respond to a rumor over there. Well, I don't want it, blah, 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 and it ain't going to happen. And I just want a DF. And I want it half price of every other camera that's out there. And I want 12 megapixel. Well, we don't want to hear that either. So here you go. Why would you bring that to a chat, or why would you bring that to a rumor about the Z8 and a higher megapixel having video? Why would you bring that up? So let's see. Michael Mallow. I bet before any new camera, you will see another software update. I'm not sure. And I think that may be what's holding back the firmware update. I think Nikon may be pulling a Canon trick here. Will my new camera sell if I update the firmware and it gives them just enough to keep them in that camera for a lot longer? I don't know. Or is it possible? I think everybody's going to say, "Oh yeah, it's absolutely possible for a decent firmware update in the Z6II, Z7III." I don't know, man. I don't know.
I tell you, I think they can definitely do some more firmware enhancements even on the Z9.
Oh, for sure.
They really could. I mean, they could easily, if they wanted to, from a certain camp that likes to say, "Oh, we do 30 frames per second." Nikon could make the Z9 do 30 frames a second and then do it at a slower bit rate like they do on the other brand. So they could do that in a blink of an eye if they wanted to.
Well, yeah,
there's a lot of things that they could do that could come out whenever they want it to come out.
Great point here by Yaman. Talking to you, Jeff. The Z6II needs to compete with the R6 at least, which is already 2 years old. Cannot perform worse than AF. Absolutely, no doubt about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. AF has to be the same as the Z9 and all the cameras that come out.
So is the Z8 going to be the competitor to the R6, or could it be the Z6 that's the competitor to the R6? I don't know.
Well, who knows? It depends whether the Z6III does 6K or 8K.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to assume that any Z6, you take it, 2, 3, whatever version, it was known for video. It's going to be a video centric camera for sure. If they do come out with a Z6III. I mean, that's kind of what that thing was geared towards.
Todd, electronic shutter, not shutterless.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I meant. I didn't speak it correctly, but that's what I meant.
Yeah.
When I said no shutter, I know it has a shutter, but it's electronic. It's just going to be funny how they divvy up the specs between eventually three camera models to make it so you could say, well, why is this one worth $500 more than that one? And why is the Z8 worth $1,000 more than a Z6III or whatever? It's just going to be really interesting to see how they differentiate between three models that may be coming out within, let's just say, 6 or 8 months of each other.
Yeah, I don't know that we'll see all three bodies in 6 to 8 months, but I think we're going to see two. Question is, which comes first? And what's in March and April? What goes on in March and April? Are they announcement months typically for Nikon? When I say for Nikon, it's usually around some big event going on, announcements. What's March and April provide?
I know they have any big shows, photo shows out in the spring?
I don't know if there is or not.
So Peter could be right. It could be an announcement with actual delivery coming, March, April. Now, nobody wants to hear that except for me. I don't like it. I'd like to see them have stock to actually begin to field the camera immediately. I don't know.
I would think if a Z6, Z7 III is You're not building Z6s or Z7 bases anymore. You now have bodies that, if they're the same, to create the 3 versions for those 2 model numbers, and it makes sense that those could come out pretty quick.
You know what? There's some truth in what you say there, Long Rider. Oh man.
Yes, there is. I know the Sony shelves in certain stores I go in have fully stocked items versus Nikon, which is only 30% full.
Simon, ordinary filmmakers in the house.
Mr. Simon, would you like a link to join this conversation? I thought you might after your video this morning.
Hello, Simon. Watched your video twice. It was so good, I watched it twice. And I scratched my head both times, so that's why there's no hair.
Thank you, Simon. I appreciate that. And while we're on that, guys, if you don't mind, if you'd leave a like, it keeps me motivated to keep this thing going. And it's been a little difficult lately. I think we're in the summer doldrums where summer's winding down. I know a lot of people are scraping for content and things like that, but a like goes a long way in keeping me motivated. If you like what we do here and you're new, consider a subscription. Subscribe to us, become part of the community. Then you can get in here on a regular basis. You get notified, and we can argue about all these things. None of us are right. We just all like to share our opinion. We're very vocal. All right.
Hey, Greg Wilson, I agree. No cameras until my 400-2.8 gets here. That's not going to happen, but
No.
the Nikon just told me that they're still filling orders prior to, April and May. So if you're waiting on a 400-2.8, it's going to be a while.
Yeah, and who knows when you're going to get an 800 either.
Yeah.
Between those 2 lenses, I tell you, you got a fair amount of unhappy people.
J-Rod, no, that's all Nikon gear there. No Sony camera bodies here, not anymore.
Hey, Simon, if you have a moment or you'd like to join, I just sent the link, so you're welcome to join us. I know that means you got to set up have a different setup to come in live, but anyway, it's there if you'd like to join.
No, Simon's fun to watch. I like watching his channel.
I actually just got J-Rod's joke. Is that a Sony camera body at the bottom of my fish tank? I had to reread that. No, that would kill my baby bristle nose. I don't want to do that.
Rakesh, thank you very much. I just get tired of everybody over there trying to be my financial advisor and tell me what I can and can't afford or shouldn't buy, as if they're trying to give me some stock tips or something. Appreciate that.
I think your fish would rebel if they're sure. They'd rebel and have to jump the cannon. Right?
Yeah, there's too much money in that thing. Those little bristle nose are pricey. I've got over 50 of them in there.
There's a great comment. What do you guys think about? Do you think Nikon invested in NRAW just to put in the Z9 and not in the Z6III or Z8? That's a good comment. And oh, by the way, if you guys saw it this morning, Con and Becky were on with their news fix or whatever, talking about the red issue. Look, none of that's going to happen anytime soon anyway. So I'm hoping people don't get all bent out of shape thinking that, next month Nikon's going to recall their Z9 to take RAW out of it. And there is a good chance that Nikon, through a conversation that somebody was having, Mr. Simon, how you doing, sir? Ordinary filmmaker, everybody.
Oh, hello.
Not using a fancy camera. I'm just using a computer.
We got a little bit of audio breakup, but I don't care what kind of camera you use, and nobody else does. Give me another sentence, Simon. Let me hear.
Let me try this.
Okay. That sounded good.
I was just checking the comments on saw a message from Chuck's. So I thought, hey, why don't I noon Eastern time, or is it noon Pacific?
Yeah, I always put ET in there. I'm hoping everybody gets that. Still having a little bit of trouble with your audio. Hey, look, I appreciate, Simon, the fact that you're willing to put yourself out there, and with information that comes available, you put it out. So many people are so worried that they're going to get in trouble. That everybody's waiting for Nikon to call them, or Canon, or Fuji. Hey, Simon, or hey, Chuck, here's the actual specs. I want you to put them out exactly as I dictate them to you. Well, that isn't going to happen. You know, we're left with taking the pieces and putting the puzzle together ourselves, which is the fun of it. But so many people want to, complain about, well, is that fact? Oh yeah. I'm in like this with Nikon. Yeah. I got it straight from the headquarters.
Like we said, Chuck, you're on their dartboard, man. You're on their dartboard.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think they secretly like what they're getting is a whole bunch of free publicity, unless they've screwed up. But this how you're connecting this day is through YouTube and social. If you don't have us talking about you.
Yeah, and I don't think Nikon complains at all about us keeping this conversation going. Neither does Canon or Fuji or Sony or anybody else. Keep us in the limelight, gentlemen. I don't care how controversial it is. Our name, our brand is being talked about. Yeah, your audio's still a little choppy, Simon.
Well, like the actors and actresses. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, like the actors and actresses say in Hollywood, bad publicity is better than no publicity.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, until it comes to giving your pre-production cameras and lenses to an influencer that doesn't like you.
Yeah.
Z90 with stacked sensor. It's good news. Yeah, Felipe, it would be, but then we're in another, we're in that category of, is it going to be a Z90 or like the Z500, or is it going to be just a good APS-C body that people can invest in that just want to shoot APS-C? And there is a difference. There's two audiences for a APS-C body, and they're not the same people. One's going to be willing to pay a little bit more, and that's going to be the pro community that wants it for the reach and the speed. And then there's going to be the folks that just want to upgrade from their Z50 or Z3 or whatever. They're not going to want to pay the price of a premium APS-C body. So, Nikon's kind of in a dilemma here. I don't know what they're going to do. We'll see what happens.
Mazman hit the nail on the head with that discussion from Khan and Becky. Was the whole way they presented their defense in their lawsuit is what another person who was getting sued by Red did, and then Red backed off, was because they're saying they didn't file the patent until after a year after they started with the technology. And if it's over a year, you can't patent it. So they're taking that same approach, and the other company, Red, backed off and did not sue them. And Nikon's taking that same approach. So I think Nikon has a good chance of winning the lawsuit based on their approach.
And I think Red's ridden this as far as they can ride it, and they've gotten away with it to this point. So we'll see. Either way, nothing's going to happen in the next year or two. It's just not how fast these things move.
Yeah.
audio is better now.
Aha. Yes, it is.
I've got a house which I run all over the property when I'm doing my. I wasn't prepared for this.
No, I knew you wouldn't be because you don't live stream typically from your studio. So I knew you had to go set up something else.
No, we
Yeah, this is
appreciate your content, Simon. We appreciate your content. It's always interesting and good.
Well, you know what, Jeffrey? When I first kind of got into this, I felt like I was playing around and grabbed something and I pulled down a bag with hammers on my head. As I'll admit, I was one of those people at the time because we hadn't seen a lot, and it took probably a couple of, and then the community realized, you know, I don't hate Nikon. I am one of those people that grew up with Canon and Nikon companies, and somebody would say, "What's the best right now?" It's Nikon, but wait 6 months, it could be Canon, and these leapfrogging each other.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I love the technology. I love what Nikon. I'm curious to see what they do with the Z8, of course, the Mark IIIs. But I want to see, there was a graphic at the end, and Nikon rumors had put. For those that are really looking at this and thinking, I think that graphic is highly suspect. And here's one from Nikon. I don't know any large corp one I work for, inclusive, that doesn't have some sort of corporate branding or corporate sign. That to me just didn't see. When I first saw it, my eyes almost popped out of my soul. Dates we saw. So, and of course, the Z6 and Z7 fresh last year, around this time. Them come out this year. To me, that's 6 years ago when they were refreshing cameras every year. Problems, but I don't know. The rumors for Nikon have been, even Nikon rumors. They say, well, we have this scenario and this. Okay, those are the two most plausible scenarios. But do you have? They're just saying no. We're hearing things. Trading part.
Yeah. So what do we do if we go into, and your audio's still cutting up? It's kind of hard to follow you at times, Simon, but that's okay. So what if from this point forward, the big manufacturers, OEM says, we're cutting out all possible leaks. We're going to do everything we can to stop leaks. Then what happens then? Does everybody just, nobody's going to talk about cameras until there's an official announcement? Do rumor sites go by the way because they don't have any more leaks to promote on their rumor sites, or what? How does that work?
It would transition. It's kind of how we see on the stock markets. We companies providing guidance, and then until it's earnings time. Which Sony does not believe in leaking anything under any speak every now and then. So in place of that is you have different saying, this is my forecast. This is what we historical analysis. Here's where things are trending. Currently do now, for lack of anything on, like I'm doing forecasting as I've done with the R5 series, R1, and the Z8. It's all you can't looking at these companies and forecasting, and so that's a lot of fun too. And just like with the analyst out, but still it gives us something to.
Yeah, you're still breaking up, Simon. Man, I hate that. But so James says leaks are actually a way to probe the customers. I think that it is, but I think it's a bad way to probe the customers because typically leaks come out when things are in production. Somebody's had their hands on it. It doesn't mean they can't make changes, but
Yeah,
I would assume it would only be firmware changes that they could make at that point in time because the hardware has already been developed. If you're getting leaks from somebody that's playing with a pre-production model, or even before pre-production, just the few cameras they make to get out in the hands of people. Maybe those cameras have an opportunity to change some of the hardware, but I would guess that it's too late by the time the leaks are out for any major changes.
Well, easy to speculate. I mean, rumors are simply that, the rumors. And even the company, we've seen this with Canon. I know Canon very, very well. Craig is a friend of mine who used to run Canon, where he would get leaks directly from Canon because they didn't. And he knew he was getting leaks from the marketing department. Canon leak entire 8K cinema cameras and then pull the video back. And I was these companies do leak it, but usually it's most of the time, though, it's not through the supply chain, through the logistics. Stuff are trying to get extra money for what they do, where we do get it.
Thanks, Rich. So Mozman's saying focus groups and polls are the way to gain information in advance. Okay, I go along with that. But let me ask you a question, Moz. Do you think that OEM folks actually watch things like this, not just my stream but all the others? Do you think that they pay attention to it to see what they should be looking at a year or two down the road based on the conversations that are going on now? And I would agree.
3
Focus
minutes, because I
groups.
got to get back to my day job. But if I can then head off into the sunset.
Hey, buddy, we got to set up a live stream when you can come on and spend some time. You can get the big setup set up upstairs there, so you can join us. And
Yeah, it's a shame it's cutting out so bad. I'd really like to hear.
we talked about this a while ago, and we just never got around to it. When is your vacation over?
Last week.
Missed the opportunity, didn't we? Look, we're not going to get any, I don't think we're going to get any hard evidence. I just feel like that this is going to be one of those announcements when it happens, and everybody's best guess will be put to the test when the announcement is made.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, buddy, we appreciate you coming in here, man. Really happy to see you in here. You're welcome back anytime. I love watching your show. Yeah. I'd encourage everybody to check out Simon over there on Ordinary Filmmaker. I have a link in the description, and he doesn't just cover Canon, he shoots Canon. But, I have one more question for you. So you had talked about the possibility, or you had thought about, or at least just pondered the thought of buying a Z9. What if the Z8 comes out and it is the baby Z9? Is that something you'd be interested in?
Here's my thought. I really like the 800, but Canon's got to be kidding if they think I'm going to cost Canadian. However, and the 800 6.3 and are less than just that one lens. And he's at 9, then that might be an option for me, because 800 millimeters. And if I do go that route, doing it, I get the whole ecosystem as well.
Okay. All right. Well, here's hoping we hear something soon, buddy.
The 800 PF is nice.
Chuck's going to put the pressure on you, Simon.
No. I know he had talked about the Z9, and I just wondered if if the Z8 is what we want it to be, if that would be appealing as well.
I'm glad he talks all brands, because I like listening about Canon. I don't shoot Canon, but years ago I had one. I had a lot of different cameras, and I enjoy the channel. I mean, it's just very good content.
You can measure what's coming from each maker by listening to what the other is doing at the present time. Just like the APS-C, that wasn't a buzz at all in the Nikon camp until Nikon announced the R6 and R10. R7 and R10. Then all of a sudden, hey, Nikon needs to do this. But guess what? That's usually an indicator that, other manufacturers are going to follow suit. They're already in production, probably.
There's a Nikon DX new one out there, I'm sure.
Yep.
Well, guys, thank you so much for having me. I've got to. I don't want to be late for that.
All right, buddy.
Good
Hey, take care.
Have a
Have a
great
good one,
day,
Simon.
Simon. Good to see you, man. Thanks for dropping in. All right.
Man, it's too bad his audio was cutting out.
Yeah.
Felipe, is he he's not a Canon ambassador.
No.
I know he shoots Canon.
No, he's not an ambassador.
Yeah, I don't think he is.
And he talks. He talks a lot of Fuji, and he does cover Nikon on occasion as well. So
It is a funny comment, though. The Nikon ambassador cut the sound. That's pretty good. I like
That's a good one.
Yeah. If if Nikon had everything in stock, we might not have time for live streams with all the great gear to be out shooting with. You know what? James? I think by mid-year next year, maybe we'll be in that position where we're out shooting more than talking.
Hey,
Maybe
you could bet if when my 400-2.8 gets here, you'll probably be seeing less of me.
Yeah.
I think you're safe though. You have some time.
yeah.
Oh.
Oh man, that's funny.
Do
Maybe
we
this
care
was
what
all a
anyone else
plan,
is
you know?
shooting? Charles, no, I don't care what everybody shoots. I honestly don't.
No, I don't either. I
Uh,
shoot with a bunch of guys, and everybody shoots different gear. It's funny.
I'll be shooting, and someone who hasn't shot a lot with their camera will come up to me and say, "Gee, you know how I can do this on my Canon camera?" And it's like I try to help them, even though I haven't shot a Canon camera in a long time. But I try to help them. I mean, I don't say, "Oh, you're Canon," and spit at them in the face and throw them in the water for the gator to eat them. I go like, "I'll help you out."
No, absolutely. I mean, we know enough about cameras. You can go through a menu, any other brand, and eventually you'll find what it is you're looking for. And I just found that out. Long Rider has sent me those cameras, and I'm taking the Sony A7 to my granddaughter to let her experiment with cameras using that. And going through the menus, it was alien to me at first, of course. And this is where people say that they like one menu system over the other. No, they're used to one menu system over the other. I just found that out myself. Is that a Canon? You can fix it by buying a Nikon. James. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know where all this information is going to go, but it keeps everything in the rumor mill, and it fits what I expect to happen. So of course I'm going to latch on to these conversations. And the other piece to that is the fact that now Peter over at Nikon Rumors is in the mix. It's no longer nothing's happening, nothing's going to happen, whatever. And he does base a couple of his comments on what he's hearing. And I don't know if that's through some of the sources that he may have for leaks or whatever. So exciting times. Keep saying it. Exciting times. Maybe by mid-year next year, we'll all be able to settle down, like somebody said, and be out shooting and talking about what we're shooting again.
Boss man.
Yeah.
That's
great. Jesprit. Jesprit. Didn't you have a D7000 at one time, Jesprit? I think you had mentioned you had one at one time. You did a video with it, I think.
Hey, when I had the R5, I mean, the R5 is a great camera, and I really liked it. Other than that was my problem, was my muscle memory is geared towards Nikon's layout. For most of its cameras, they're all pretty much the same, but the Canon, was just that much different that I was missing shots because of it. But that just takes time. The more you shoot with one, you'll get used to it.
Yep, absolutely. Charles talking about he identifies with Nikon, or he identifies as Nikon. I do too, Charles, as everybody knows. Again, I'm not opposed to other brands, but I'm not going to go reinvest in another brand. I want this brand to meet my expectations. Keeps me alive. Keeps me hopping. Uh, uh, there you go. You're used to it, and that's another good reason to stick with one brand. It doesn't mean you can't switch, but once you get used to a brand, everything seems to be, muscle memory. Uh, Z Wade, Mr. Z Wade, Zach, how are you? You on lunch today? Are you on lunch right now, Zach?
You dropped a bunch of videos, I noticed.
Yeah, he's been busy, man. He's been going at it. Hey, Jaspreet, I'm going to send you an email. I got a proposal for you. Would you be interested in another D7000? Send me an email and tell me. Let's see. Yeah, you got to buy things twice. You're right. And the other thing is yeah, I can't share. I know with adapters, Albert will jump all over me for making this statement. You can't share lenses. He's gonna call me on that. You want to bet? But if I'm in one system, then it's just easier to follow that system and buy the lenses I want. Okay, you're on lunch. All right, buddy. I was just gonna see if you wanted to jump in here, but I know you're on lunch. Okay. Uh, is it a battle that's going on we don't know about, Zach? uh, is there a bet or something we need to know about?
He
Is
dropped
that what it
he
is,
dropped
Mark?
5 of them in 15 hours ago.
Okay. Oh, you got a D750. Okay. That's a great camera, man. It didn't meet with great reviews right off the bat, but turned into a very good camera. A lot of wedding photographers wound up with Z750s, or at least I think they did.
Greg Wilson,
Z8.
I do. That's what I do like about the Canon cameras is the scroll wheel. The
Mm-hmm.
select. I do like that layout of that particular button or wheel,
Yeah,
I should say.
yeah, Felipe. That's how most of us feel because we've been with Nikon for so long. Ergonomics are good. And I mean, there's just a million things. And I've said this before. A young person asked me, I want to get into photography. What camera should I buy? And I'll tell them, honestly, what you need to do is, and it's hard to do nowadays because we don't have camera stores like we used to. But, find some people that have the brand, different brands and just hold it. Put the camera in your hand. And that's going to tell you as much as the specs on any camera. Whatever's convenient or comfortable for you, there's a feel that you'll get. And, that's probably going to answer your question right there because you can't go wrong with any of the brands. I know. How dare me say that being a Nikon shooter, but you
It's the
can't
truth,
go
though.
wrong. You can't go wrong. It's all aesthetics and a feel of the camera. What looks best to your eye and feels best in your hand, and then get that camera. That's what you need to get right there. Yeah, we all miss our local camera stores, even if it was just the what was it? Oh shoot, the big chain that was around in every mall around America.
Ritz Photo.
Yeah.
Even if it was Ritz, I mean, we'd
Yeah.
be happy with that, but not anymore.
Yeah. There's only one by me. It's hanging on. I'm sure by a thin thread.
Well, what's sad is they all collapsed because with Amazon and others and the big stores. I mean, people go in there, ask the questions, get the information from the local guy, and then they won't spend the extra $30, and they screw him and take up his time, and then buy it somewhere else. And
Oh, you got
can't blame the the guy for saying, "Hey, I'm giving people free photo lessons," and they don't spend the extra $30. You know.
Everybody was saving tax too, buying it Adorama, B&H, and all
Yeah.
that.
Chuck, do you know what the M on the M&Ms is made of? I don't know what the M, the actual letter, is made of on the M&Ms. I know what M&M stands for, and I know they use Hershey chocolate with M&Ms. But beyond that, no, I do not know what it's made of.
Leftover white paint from failed
Well,
Sony lenses.
Yeah.
hey, I found out this, well, not to scare you, Chuck, but I found out, because hopefully they don't use it on the lettering on the M&Ms, but there are actually 3, maybe 4 old Minolta lenses that were radioactive.
Oh, yeah. Frame Voyager did a video on radioactive lenses.
Yeah.
After he heard that in our chat here one night when he was in live. Yeah.
Or the sights
Dirties
on
in
my Glock.
Nashville. Photo, are you down in Nashville or in the Nashville area? Oh, now that's cool. Made of paper. Soak them in water and it'll float to the top. That's cool. I did not know that. Oh, okay. 2.5 hours from Nashville. All right. Because I'm going to be in Nashville or the vicinity of Nashville here next week. Yeah, next week.
Yeah, it's funny when we had a Ritz photo in Connecticut and in a couple of the major malls. I always joke with my wife. I says, "Well, we'll go to the mall. You could go to 100 stores that have all the stuff that cater to women, and I'll go to the only store that caters to a guy. And I'll be at the camera store waiting for you."
Yeah.
And she'd go off for an hour, 2 hours, doing all her other shopping, and I'd still be in the camera store just waiting for her.
Yeah, he and I have talked. I definitely want to bring him. Excuse me. I definitely want to bring him on again. I like John over there at Frame Voyager. He's very entertaining. The information he puts out is not just blase blah. He's very entertaining, and I love watching. Even though I don't understand half of what they're talking about because it's all, video ones and zeros kind of stuff. We'll get him in here again. I don't know where Collinwood is, Photo. Louise.
Yeah.
I've done that with people out. I've been out shooting, and even a Nikon, a D3300. Some lady asked me one day a question, and this is where I learned that, because that camera took fantastic photos. It really did.
Yeah, there was nothing wrong with it.
But the convenience in pro camera bodies is so much better because you're not digging in a menu. You got a button.
Exactly.
Even white balance, I think, on that camera, I had to go dig in the menu to find it.
Yeah. People, when they do that to me and people have an older camera like that, it takes me a minute because I'm like, wait a minute, there's no button to do that. Now I got to get in the menu.
Yeah. All right, man. We went through an argument very quick there. We all disagreed and agreed at the same time. That was fantastic. And here you go. I wish I did, Felipe, on the 2-600. No, it's the mystery lens. It is absolutely the mystery lens. Longest on the list, and still no information whatsoever.
Yeah, not even a blip.
I would like to say, hey, maybe that's going to happen in October. But it's let me down so many times, I'm afraid to even mention it anymore.
Yeah.
I'm expecting to see it disappear off the roadmap or something.
Well, you got to cover your bases, Chuck, and just say sometime in the next 1 to 2 years, and you'll be good.
So I I wish I could tell you something, Felipe, but I can't. I have no idea. And RS, you all like that 800 millimeter lens. I love the whole idea of that lens. It's not a lens I'm buying. I got too many other things to purchase before I do that. However, Mr. Demuth's photography up there has
Yeah.
ordered it, and a few other people I think in here have ordered it. No, you too, right?
I had the 800 for a while. I actually had one, and I sold it to a buddy of mine because he was really wanting it, and I kicked myself in the butt for getting rid of it because you can't get them. But it's a great lens. 800 PF is awesome.
The 400 4.5, still waiting on it. So Mozman has the 400 4.5.
Yeah.
It looks like a fantastic lens. He's been out shooting with it.
It is. I've got that one as well.
Man, all you people see, I love my wife. I wouldn't change anything about her except for make her.
Here's the butt statement. But
make her a photographer. That would be it.
That's where I'm lucky. My wife is a photographer with me, and she makes all the money now that I'm retired.
Yep.
That's why I can't buy much, because I'm not working and I'm retired, and she makes all the money. I can't spend all her money on all that money that she makes on camera gear. I got to be careful.
Yeah, Greg Wilson photography over there, nature photography. Greg, good video. I just watched a video that you just put out. I loved it with the woodpeckers.
Yeah.
Nikon should be marketing. Trigger word, Nikon should be marketing. Yes, Nikon, you could have just left it at that. You didn't even have to put glass or anything else. Just Nikon should be marketing is all you needed to say. Although I want to say, I think I see hints of them trying to do this.
Don't get carried away.
I know. And then they let me down, but I see hints of, the young intern that they got finally spoke up in one of the meetings and said, here's what we should do. Before he got crushed, somebody listened and started to try to put together a marketing plan. I don't, Nikon must hate me. If they've watched me, they must hate me. Especially the marketing department, if they have one.
Well, now they hate you, yeah.
Oh.
If they have one.
Yeah, look at these guys, man. So Jeff is streaming live from the B&H Nikon booth.
I don't have any 800s in stock, though. I'm sorry, guys. I ran out. NPS only.
Yeah, using the 300 2.8 with a 1.4 TC. Yeah, I'd heard, years ago that at that point in time, the 300 2.8 was the sharpest lens Nikon had. I don't know if it held that honor for a short time, or it was just somebody that was making or stating their own opinion. But it is an extremely sharp lens.
It is. I didn't ever own one, but I used to rent one every once in a while. I can tell you the 400 4.5 with the 1.4 converter, obviously the Z converter, it does not hurt image quality at all. You put the 2 on it and it gets a little soft, but it's still usable.
Well, I had to be the idiot and go buy the 2X TC, the Z version. And while it does work, it takes effort to use it. And I used it on the 1-400. The 1-400 is an incredible lens. I'm extremely happy with that lens. And dare I say, it's almost too sharp.
It's an extremely sharp lens. Great for video too.
Mm-hmm. I do like it, but with that 2X on it. You got to work. You got to do a little work if you're going to use it. It's not just a spray and pray combination. 800 millimeter. Well, 800 millimeter in itself is, something. If you've never shot at focal lengths that long, that is a job in itself at first. Just trying to find your subject. And when you're trying to shoot a wren from about 40 feet away in a tree, you'll see every leaf on that tree before you find that bird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody
You'll say all the leaves look tack sharp, but I can't find the bird.
Content creator studios, that's what they are. I'm waiting for the 35 to 150 Tamron. Yeah. I actually, they have another one. I can't remember the other one, out to 500. I'm curious to see how these are going to do as well. I'm not a third party lens guy. However, I'm willing to take a look and see how sharp and, how they perform. Luis, he experienced it too. Godoc's not working TTL on the Z9. I don't know if it's an update that you can make too, or, on that Godoc's speed light. Somebody told me it was, but I don't own a Windows computer, and I can't make the update on it, or I can't download an update for it. But I understand the newer version of their, I don't even know the nomenclature of their speed lights anymore, but the newer version will support TTL on the Z9. I cannot confirm that. I just heard somebody said that. No experience here with G Master lenses, but people rave about them. So I don't know. No experience with them.
Well, Dave, didn't you use a Sony G Master lens with a converter on the Nikon?
No, it was the 200 to 600, which is not a G Master.
Ah, okay.
But
yeah, you liked it, right?
Yeah, it worked great. It's just that Sony's 200 to 600 is a heavy lens. And then you throw it on the Z9 and it makes a pretty heavy combination. That's why I'm hoping, Nikon's flavor of 200 to 600, I'm hoping it's a lot lighter.
Jaspreet, I don't think it's Sigma that's holding that back. I think it's just brokering a deal with, this is just my opinion. I think it's Nikon just hasn't brokered a deal. Maybe they have. They just haven't come up with anything yet. But I expect Sigma to become part of the third-party lens lineup with Nikon as well. I'm not a big Sigma fan. I know a lot of people are. I have two Sigma lenses. I've said this before. I have the 50 1.4 Art and the 35. And they are good lenses. I'm not going to take anything away from them. They're just not my cup of tea. Every lens has its own rendering.
Yeah.
And I wasn't satisfied with it. And the other thing was, it seemed like they were very slow focusing to me.
Well, didn't Sigma Corporate make a comment that they would have a hard time supporting Nikon right now anyway, because they're pretty much at full capacity with who they are providing lenses to? I
think I read something to that effect too. Yeah.
So it may not be a problem with Nikon not wanting to use them. Sigma might not have the capacity to support them right now anyway.
Back in a while back, Sigma, they made a 500 f4 Nikon mount. They made it for Canon too, but that f4 was, half the money, and it performed really well. I shot it for a little while. And that was a good lens. I would love to see the third party guys. It's obviously going to be down the road. Nikon has to get all this stuff out first, but it gets you some decent glass at a reasonable price.
What was that? Let's see. Yeah, Mozman's responding to that. Sigma did say they have no production capabilities to produce anything more than their current offerings.
Jasper saying he heard a lot the G Master being too good compared to the S line and even Canon lenses. Is this just because it's too sharp? Actually, if you look at independent lens reviews, you're going to find that most people feel the Nikon S series lenses are the best lenses of any of the camera manufacturers right now. Better than Canon, better, and Sony, from what I hear, Sony lenses are better than Canons, and Nikon lenses, S series lenses, are better than Sony and Canon. Other than a couple lenses that Canon makes that are considered really on par, but supposedly the Z S series lenses are better than the other guys.
And I saw another comment. I think it was Photo talking about he thinks that the problem with the TTL and Godox is the lack of a shutter, the new shutterless technology. And it may be true. I don't know. So AJM says he has two Sigma Art lenses that Nikon could not get close to, the 14 and the 135. Well, yeah, Nikon had, I mean, considering there is no 135 yet in S mount.
Yeah.
And you know, so here you go. The 85, 105, and 135. And you'll have people that'll swear by one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know a lot of people that have all
it doesn't
three.
matter because you either step forward a few feet or you back up a few feet, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Realistically.
And I'll tell you, I'm not a big fan of the 85 1.4 G lens. You know, that everybody raved about. It is the portrait lens early on, you know, years ago, maybe, you know, 6 or 8, 10 years ago. And I bought it, and that lens sat on the shelf. I didn't find it so extraordinary. And again, it has its own rendering too. I mean, if you want warm, rich colors and contrast, then that is a great lens because that's what I got out of it.
A mist filter.
Yeah. I bought one of those too. I bought it more for video. I wanted to play with it with video. It really didn't do anything for me for photography. And I understand the whole idea of, you know, highlights blooming. I learned what that really meant after using it and trying it.
You just rub Vaseline on an old UV filter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or what was the other one? Pantyhose over the lens and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Yeah, the 85 1.2 is a lens that a lot of people are anticipating. Let's hope that it turns out to be one of those lenses that you just got to have because that's the lens I'm waiting for. I like that 50 1.2, but I don't care for 50 millimeter as a focal length. So I'm hoping the 85 really brings something to the table because I do plan to get that lens.
Do you have the 50, Chuck?
No, I do not have the 51.2. I would like to have it because I've seen some fantastic photos with that. I'm just not a 50 millimeter shooter.
Yeah.
It's because I'm not a pro.
I'm not either. I bought the 51.8 just because.
Yeah, I had that.
I didn't want to spend the money on the 1.2, but the 1.8, the Z mount is great. It's a great little lens.
Yep.
I've just heard some people complain about being a 1.2 lens being that it's very large and heavy.
It's big. The 1.2 is big.
Yeah, Joe's talking about the 104E or 105 1.4E. A lot of people swear by that lens. That was another lens that everybody enjoyed. You know, the Sigma is supposed to be a fantastic lens too, but being so large, I mean, if you put a tripod foot on a on a lens, it might be an indicator.
Yep.
And AMJ saying there are already great third-party cine lenses. Yeah, there are. And I don't know if anybody's ever watched DSLR Video Shooter. Is that it? I think that's it. DSLR Video Shooter. Uh, he's been doing. He's all about video, and he's not a Nikon fan as far as camera bodies go, but he's a big fan of old Nikon lenses for video. He loves the fact that you can still buy a lot of these wonderful lenses that work great for video from Nikon yesteryear. All right, all right. I'm going to run out of time here in a minute because I'm going to have to go in about 30 minutes. Get busy. Get busy. Get ready to get out of here. Yeah, it's going to be nice. Nikon opening up the S mount for some of the third-party lenses. I know a lot of people are waiting for Sigma. Tamron from the G2 lenses that everybody raved about in the F mount. So I expect that that'll be the same for the S mount. We'll see soon enough. Long Rider was talking about he has that 50-150. I think that was the lens we were talking about. The Tamron 50-150 for Sony, and talking about how good it was. Said it was a little bit heavy, so that's another one to look for. Anything big camera gear, yep, absolutely makes you look like a pro. That's right. That's why you should buy big cameras and big lenses and a big truck.
All the pros are the ones that have a little red wagon pulling all their lenses behind them, and they're holding their backs. Their backs all hurt.
There was some, validity to that statement years ago. Not too many years ago in the DSLR days. Obviously, people were impressed by big lenses, big camera body. I know it doesn't. Everybody's gonna say, "Well, it doesn't mean anything." No, it doesn't. But it means something to the people that see it. So, evidently.
All right, Charles, we're not going to repeat that one.
Yeah, size does matter. Yeah. In the eyes of the no, I'm not going there.
This broadcast is rated G for general audiences.
Here you go. Our BFS is saying he hadn't used 50 for over 40 years, but the 51.2 is now mostly on his camera. Okay. And adapted to ZF 85 1.2 L lens on for shooting now. Okay. You know what? I'm hoping the 85 1.2. There we go. Everybody get ready. Throw things at me. I'm hoping it has some, it's one of those lenses that has a characteristic about it, which isn't just being incredibly razor sharp. Unless, I don't know. I don't want sharp as much as it's going to have some mystery character to it. One of those lenses just has a character to it. That's what I hope. I don't know how sharp a lens has to be anymore. For reviews, it has to be incredibly sharp. For use, I'm not so sure they have to be so sharp anymore.
Yeah, and then with a portrait lens, it's really important is what does the bokeh look like?
Mm-hmm.
That's to me is probably more important is what the bokeh looks like.
Yeah, how it renders out of focus area. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's always a good thing. Or if it's real good, it's always a good thing, characteristic in that lens.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about, a photo. I want the 85 for one thing and one thing only, just to use for portrait work and stuff like that. It's because if I'm going to go out and I need 85 millimeter, it's going to be in my 70-200. I'm all about zoom lenses. I like zooms, but for studio work, that 85 millimeter is about perfect. You don't have to have a super big studio, or, you know, it works in a smaller area. I was busy with a burnt hamburger. Oh, man. All right.
Well,
All right.
everyone, I'm going to have to bail. I got to get out of here. I got some stuff to get done.
All right, David. Thanks for joining us for the conversation. I'm
Yeah, it's been great.
Fixing to jump back on the topic we started with just to get us out of here and see what everybody else has to think. Maybe some new folks have dropped in since we were talking about the latest rumors on the Z8 and Z6III, Z7III. But glad you dropped in, David. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
no
buddy.
problem. I saw your topic there, and I felt like I needed to get in on that because I'm like you, is kind of just waiting to see what happens here with these. Hopefully, we get some announcements soon.
Well, I didn't send out invitations for this live stream because, and it worked out perfect because you wanted to talk about this. So, and I wanted people that wanted to talk about it that might want to join. And that was the whole key. So we wouldn't get sidetracked on grits and,
Yeah. Yeah.
and everything else. But glad you were in here. Appreciate it. Everybody check out D Moots Photography on YouTube if you haven't already. And his work is fantastic. I think you'll enjoy it.
I appreciate it. Hey, everybody, take care, and we'll catch you Saturday night.
Take care, Dave.
See ya.
Have a good one.
All right, Jeffrey. So let's wrap it up. Any other comments about the latest and greatest? I don't know how great it is, but information pertaining to the Z8. I still believe October, we're going to see an announcement for something. I don't know what it's going to be. You know, early on, I assumed I just put the puzzle together and thought for sure that we would see an announcement for a Z8 when everybody else was saying it's way too early. Well, it was then. You're not going to see it. We weren't going to see it back in March. But the whole point was to look down the road and see what would come next and look at what Nikon needs to be doing. And, you know, the Z8 was the key, I thought. However, because of the cost and the, you know, I think a Z6III is another possible or a better logical choice for a camera announcement in October. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I'm curious to see what the Z6III, Z7III, and Z8 are going to be. Now, Nikon Rumors has opened up the possibility of camera announcements, where before, because I guess he had nothing coming, you know, from any of his sourcing. And now all of a sudden there is this possibility, and the likelihood of a camera seems pretty good. What's it going to be right now? He's thinking that the Z8 will be March, April timeframe based on some info he's got. And he's not saying go mortgage your house and get ready. He's just saying that based on some information that he has that may be credible, it could be March or April. Now, that doesn't mean that will be the announcement. It could be the delivery date. Who knows? And oh, by the way, anytime you get information talking about a release of a camera, you know, it's always going to be plus or minus a month or two. So just because somebody says, I think March, doesn't mean it won't be January. And he makes that point too. Or it could be October for an announcement and then a delivery right after the first of the year. That happened before, didn't it? For a lot of us, well after the first of the year. But I really believe, I stand by my prediction. I got my little chart up here of what I think those cameras are going to be. I know there are going to be changes to it, but that was my idea of what I thought Nikon could bring to the table. So October, a camera announcement could be the Z6III. It could be a development announcement, but we don't usually see those, Zach, for prosumer bodies. You know, for the flagship, I think, and that was actually the first time that I've seen a development announcement. So that was different for me in my Nikon history. But the Z6III would be a logical choice. It really would be, because it's going to be at the lower end of the price scale, but still be a very capable camera. It's not going to be the dumb, an entry level, I don't think, camera. I think it's going to be specific. It may be more leaning heavily on the hybrid side for video, because I think that's cheaper than the still side, if you will, with all the other bells and whistles. And that may sound crazy, but anyway, I think that it could be the Z6III, and I still hold out the possibility for the Z8. And as Z Wade said, a development announcement, it would be different, but it doesn't mean Nikon can't do that or won't do that. I don't think that's going to be the case. If it's going to be an announcement, it'll be an announcement, and then we can expect the delivery date 3 months down the road or something like that. That could be for any camera they announce. I still hold out the possibility for an APS-C body. And that came about I really began thinking about that when Canon came out with the R7 and R10, and Nikon then responded with the Z30, but we didn't get the R7 equivalent. So that is still a possibility. That could be the camera that gets dropped in October, or they could just shock us all and give us 2 camera bodies in October. Now, you and I both know that you won't see those cameras anytime soon. You won't get one anytime soon. And now I'll make this other public announcement. If you are one of those diehards that is definitely going to pick up the Z8, if the Z8 turns out to be the all-arounder camera to complement the Z9, if you know you want that and the specs do reveal that that's what it is, I will tell you, as soon as there's any hint or any possible way to get on a list, then you better do it, because that is one camera body that's going to sell. It's going to outsell the Z9 by
10 times more.
Yeah. So I'm just throwing it out there. If you wait around for the links to open up for B&H, you're already a year down the road. I'm just throwing it out there. All right.
See, Greg's asking about content from me Thursday at midnight. Next video Thursday, and although I talk about it in the video, I'm going to be cutting back on my YouTube content considerably, which I talk about in the video, so I'm not going to get into it here, but it's going to get cut back quite a bit. Spending way too much time doing that stuff, and I need a break from it. So I'm going to be cutting back.
All right. Well, you all heard it from Selective Imagery himself.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So let me talk about next Saturday night. I'm traveling. Friday we leave. We're heading down to North Carolina. We may drive all the way through. We might stop somewhere and spend the night and then get there Saturday afternoon. I'm not sure yet. Either way, I'm taking my remote kit with me, which is everything I'm using right here. Not everything. I'm going to use the Cam 4 link to do the stream so that I can connect the camera to the computer. And I'll be doing a stream from the hotel room next Saturday night, or this coming Saturday night, I hope. If for some reason I can't do it, because I don't know exactly what's going to happen when we get there, but Mama seems to be pretty sure I'll be able to stream after we get there. If for some reason I'm not going to stream, then I will definitely put out a reminder saying that there won't be a stream, or there's a delay, or we're going to do it on a different day. But I plan next Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, to go live from Raleigh, North Carolina. And then the following Wednesday, which would be my next live stream, I'll probably be doing that from Clarksville, Tennessee, which is near Fort Campbell, Kentucky, because I'm going to my 5th group reunion. Get to see all my Pizos again. And I'll do that. Now, both of those streams may be shorter in duration than normal, only because I'm on the road. But I plan to keep the stream going unless for some reason I can't do it. I can tell you that not this coming Saturday, but the following Saturday, I probably will not be doing a live stream. I hate to miss one, but I'll be with my kids and my grandkids, and that's priority, spending time with them. I don't get to see them enough. So All right. All right. Chuck, will you plug into the laptop? Yes, I'll be using my laptop and have the camera plugged right into the laptop using the Cam 4 link. And we will be on streaming as normal. Just won't have any fancy lights or anything like that. And the audio won't be as good. I'll be using my Rode Go mic instead of my NT1. All right. Now, here you go, Alan. Thank you very much, Mr. Barnes. I don't think they will announce a Z8 until they have enough stock for the demand. Yeah, I guess that's a possibility, and it would be nice if they actually did that. So there's no way they're going to have enough stock to meet the actual demand, but maybe they can have enough to at least get a bunch of them out in people's hands right off the bat. But that's going to be a camera that's going to be in high demand, short supply for a while. But if something happens and there is we get something from Nikon via a leak or whatever about the Z8, you can bet I'll do an impromptu because I'm not going to miss that. I got too much invested in this whole idea of the Z8. All right, gentlemen, I don't think I have anything else. It's better if I get out of here now, maybe. And I do appreciate everybody showing up. I know that this was gear oriented, but it's one of the things I think everybody enjoys talking. Not everybody, but a lot of people enjoy talking about. And we're going to talk about it more as we get closer and closer. Maybe in October, we can really start talking about specs or whatever, things that are leaked or who knows. And I think that's all for the news and my upcoming schedule. Missing a few faces. I don't know if people have been busy or whatever, but I'm going to send an email out just to check on a few people that haven't been around, make sure they're okay. By the way, Vahagan, you've probably seen his video, but he's out. He was out in Las Vegas again over the weekend shooting a wedding. And I know he's busy with some other content, but I'm sure he'll have something else coming out soon. All right. Shortest stream today. Absolutely, Moz, man. You're absolutely right. And the next two might be as well. I hate to say it, but that just may be the case. All right, guys. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the week. Even if you've got to work, I hope it's okay. Jeffrey, thank you for jumping in here as well. Always good to see you. Selective Imagery, everybody, get over to his channel and check it out. And with that, I think that's about it. I'm going to wrap it up. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful rest of the week. And I will I'll definitely see you Saturday night, even if it's a short stream, but we'll see how it goes. All right, folks.
Take care, everybody. Moz
Bye-bye.
man, give me a call, Moz man.